Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is an Object 907. It's a Tier 10 Soviet premium medium tank. It's located on the north spawn of Tundra and it's under the command of RNG's Toxis. Well, if you have one of these tanks, you must be among the top players on Clan Wars because they only give them out to the top 3,000 on NA or the top 11,000 on the EU servers. This tank is basically, or was supposed to be, a replacement for the T-54/T-55. It was actually a project started in 1954, and the project was cancelled in 1963 because it was deemed to be too complex. A bit like the T-14 Armata might be considered at the moment. Way too complex, too expensive, should be cancelled. I'm afraid the Russians have just dug themselves too far into the Armata now to not consider getting rid of it. Well, he's done a bit of forestry work to knock down the trees in his cap area. And, oh, enemy tank seen up on top of the hill. And he blocks the shot from the EBR-105, who could see him. Now, the 907 is quite an interesting tank, really. It's got a kind of V-shaped hull, a bit like a boat, you can say. And it's also got sides which bounce round because of that shape. Very, very efficient. Keeps getting spotted. It's got the third highest DPM for the mediums. And it's also got a 100mm gun with 320 Alpha and fairly decent penetration and gun handling. So it's got very strong side armor. The turret is very bouncy as well because it's kind of, if you can see, it's in a kind of little dip. I mean, they've actually molded the hull around the turret, so you can't actually see the turret join because that's underneath the hull or inside the hull. Anyway, it looks like he's tying up with this Object 780, and the pair of them are invading enemy territory. His platoon mate, the 121B, is over on the other side of the map. I think they're playing a different game on this one. Anyway, let's see how they get on. Oh, Jaeger tracks it with his first shot. That was very accurate and very quick, and the guy picks his track and gets it tracked again, and now this guy's a dead duck. Nothing we can do with the Jaeger. Once he's been tracked, he's got no repair kit. We'll just keep pumping these rounds in. The penetration he's got, he's just going to take this guy apart. And there you go. First kill. So simple. The APCR rounds, which are standard, have got a penetration of 264mm. He just found a cram bomb. Ow. He got hit again. And the third shot actually, I think they hit the front of the vehicle. Just trying to look for it. And now he's just been hit by the enemy Arty, the GWE-100. In fact, there's two Artys. And now he's lost his driver as well. The Object 430U put one in. Cranbar's being cagey. He's pulled back. The 780's gone very close. Very close. But this could work out in our favour because he could act as a distraction whilst we can sneak up around. He's trying to tell the guy to pull back, but I think, to be honest, the 780 is actually focusing their attention. And now we can slip in by him. While they're looking at him, they won't be looking at RNG's Toxis as he starts putting rounds into the enemy. That Cranbarn has now been hit. He's a one-shot. And he's been tracked. And there's the kill. Second kill of the game.
I appreciate it.
So he seems to be working as a good team with the 780. Now, the enemy team is way up on us at the moment. They're 5 tanks up now. And they were higher than that, actually. I think we managed to claw a couple back. Oh, and there goes the Object 430U, third kill. And now we're only 3 down on the enemy. But I think because we were focusing around here, and of course these two players appear to be the top players on their team, that they lost so many of their members, and now they've got one of the RTs. Is he going to try and get the GWE, or leave that for the 780? Well, he pumps one in, and the 780 takes the kill. So no Pascucci's, but he did share the kills with the 780. 780's going one way. Now he's thinking about joining him. But this corner is so good for taking on enemy tanks, which are focusing on our teammates. He pumps one into the 140. Remember, it's got good DPM, this tank. Oh, puts one into the T57, gets a low roll, 311. The T57 knows we're here, gets another low roll. T57's hiding behind the rock. Okay, go for the 140. I think it didn't hit the armor, but there's the T57. Oh, he's sneaky, this one. He's actually trying to hide behind the cover, the wreckage of the train. So we pump another one into the 140. He's a 2-shot. Gets another one in. He's a 1-shot now. T57 Heavy is a 1-shot. But we don't get it because we get a low roll. Oh, we did get him. He got a fire. He set light to the engine bay. And he got a fire and killed the T57 Heavy. And now it's just that 140 who's gone the other side round the rock. The 780 is going one way. We're going the other. We'll scissor him. There's no way he's going to get away with this. One of us is going to get him. There he is. Oh, he puts one into us, but now you die. Yep, and that's him out the game. Now we've got an Object 268 version 4 who's focusing on the 780. But he's totally ignoring us, and now he's a 1-shot. And he's now dead. And that was the 7th kill. The Object 140 was the top gun. And these two seem to be working incredibly well together. So we're only one short of getting a Radley Waters now. That 780's done incredibly well, considering he's only got 1 kill out of the game so far. Oh, EBR up there on top of the hill. He's only got 2 hit points. Very low. And the enemy's capping. Now, he's not going across the bridge. I think that would be the obvious thing to do. I wonder if he's going to go... No, he's not going to go down through the dip. It looks to me like he's going up the hill. I would have said cut across the river and try and come up the other side right next door to the enemy cap, or the cap area, and get it reset there. But he's not going to do that. He's going to go high and shoot the enemy in the cap. Supposedly, so long as he can actually see whoever's capping. The EBR's not up here. He's decided to get out quick before we arrive. Now, the capper must be the IS-7. I doubt if a T100 would try and cap. There he is. Nice. 1 shot, and he's got his Radleys. So now... Oh, he did get spotted, though. So somebody saw him. Now, was that the IS-7, or was it one of the lights? Okay, he's just going to sit here for a moment, try and work out what they're going to do next. He sent to the to his teammate in the 780, 10 please. He wants the Pools medal. He probably wants to appear on the general channel, yes, where we put up all the Pools medals that come, all the Racini Heroes medals, all the massive kills games that you see. It's just phenomenal to watch and see how players actually play games and get those sort of medals. Well, we're overlooking the enemy cap now. And RNG as Toxis could dive down there. If the 780 was to go into the cap area, the most natural place for anyone to come and get a reset would be from up here. But I don't think the enemy are going to come up here. But they might try to get close down below, and if the 780 sees them, then RNG as Toxis might be able to get the kill. He doesn't want to go into the cap himself, despite the fact that he's still got enough hit points to trade. The EBR's got the 105mm gun, 390 Alpha if I remember correctly. He doesn't want to lose that much. Oh, there's the T100, and the 780 closes him down. That means there's no chance of a Pools medal now, but that means it's also only 1 enemy left, and he's only got 2 hit points as far as I remember. And that's what the screen at the top tells me. So this should be a relatively easy game, because if we can find the EBR, then it's going to be no problem. But the 780 came out of the cap just after that. The 121B, who's actually RNG's Toxis's platoon mate in this game, actually called him a rude word. He says the 780 says he's down to a one shot. It's true, he is down to a one shot. He hasn't got much in the way of hit points left. He just needs to hide behind the rock. In the meantime, it looks like RNG's Toxis is hunting the EBR down, and I think he's in the wrong place really. He needs to be in the southern area of the map. Because if anything, I would say that he'll be in the southwest region of the map, not the northwest region. This is not the place for an EBR to be. It's almost like he's giving the EBR to the 780. Having a quick look in all of the places where someone can hide. But I think he's going to be in the southern area of the map easily. He would have gone to the southwest corner or waited for them to get enough cap points, and then he'll suddenly pop out of nowhere and get the kill. Oh, 780's been spotted. And the EBR's been seen, and he was killed by the 780. So it is a victory. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was a first-class tanker for RNG's Toxis of the MADD clan. Yes, you have to be mad to be in it. Oh dear, that's such a terrible joke. I'll get my coat. Yeah, and in the Object 907, you got a 5 for effect for that battle, as well as a Bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, you managed to get 9. You got a Hand of God for surviving the battle and received damage from 4 different enemy tanks at least. And he got an arsonist because he set light to the T-57 heavy tank and he burned up. Actually, it was a very lucky shot. Hit the engine bay. Wasn't enough to kill him outright with that shot, but set light to him and he got him with the remainder. As well as a duelist for taking down 2 tanks who damaged him. He also managed to pick up a Radley Waters in that game for getting at least 8 kills. He did get 8 exactly. He wanted the Pools medal. He could have got it, but unfortunately it didn't play out the way he expected. And I think he probably would have been better off if he'd stayed in the southern end of the map and waited for the enemy to try and turn up and do the reset. He got a Top Gun as well for getting at least 6 kills, but no high caliber. Let's have a look at team score and see why. Well, yeah, we can see here that the highest damage in the game was 4,795 hit points. I don't think that's 20%, in which case that's why he didn't get the high caliber. The second highest damage in the game turned out to be the IS-7 on the enemy team with 3,338. And the third highest damage was the 780 on his own team, who was doing a fantastic job platooning with, or basically partnering with RNG's Toxis, and effectively acting as the distraction most of the time to focus the enemy's fire on himself, whilst RNG's Toxis went round and finished them off. So when it came to kills, yeah, RNG's Toxis got that one with 8 kills. 3 kills went to Object 780 and also to the Object 140 on the enemy team. And when it came to base XP, there was only one player who managed to get over 1,000, and that was RNG's Toxis with 1,386. Second highest went to the 780, obviously, 921, so he was performing very well indeed. And the third highest turned out to be the Progetto 65, who did 752. RNG's Toxis fired 28 rounds in that game, got 23 direct hits on the enemy and 19 penetrations. Did use a fair amount of heat. He did 4,795 hit points of damage, of which only 87 hit points was done at more than 300 meters, the rest of it close range. 7 hits received, only 3 of which actually penetrated, 3 non-penetrations, and 2 hits by way of splash damage from the enemy Arty. 2 of those shots were very good, one wasn't so good. The GW did actually manage to get him whilst he was tracked, once the cramp arm managed to isolate him. 830 hit points of damage blocked by armor. He spotted 2 enemy vehicles, damaged 9 of the enemy, killed 8, did 867 hit points of spotting assist, and he got 59 defense points when he reset the cap. If he'd left it just a little while longer, then he might have got a defender's medal, but I think the IS-7 knew that he'd been spotted, and therefore he was moving to a position where he could not be shot at from the hill. So yes, if he had left it a little longer, may not have even got a reset at all. 47,401 credits on a premium account for the game, 21,331 from battle payments, 99,543 credits altogether. But he used a lot of premium ammo. He had to. It was the only way he was going to get through some of the armor of some of those heavy tanks and deal with them effectively. So, yeah, he ended up with a small loss of 6,610 credits for the battle. 1,386 XP, 104 for this being a premium vehicle, and 312 for playing in the platoon. Took away 2,495 experience points altogether. Well, let's have a quick look at the armor profile for the 907. I know some people actually do enjoy these illustrations of where these tanks are so strong or where they're weak. You can see why it's called a boat. It's got a very, very Y-shaped or U-shaped hull. And you look at it, you say, yeah, that's a boat. But that's just the way that they put it together. And the reason is to try and deflect shells that are coming in and bounce them into the ground. And it is very good at doing that. It's just a very complex tank to actually make, which is why the Russians didn't actually continue with the production, or it was just too complex. Just like the T-14 Armata is too complex today for the Russians to actually build. They tried to get a tank that has all bells and whistles, and even put all of the crew in the hull and all the operating mechanism of the tank into the turret, try and keep it separate so it doesn't suffer the sort of mistakes that the T-72 has with that ammunition carousel. The only problem is it's still going to detonate if it gets hit, and it will get hit, mostly from above. Anyway, looking at the 907 here, we can see it's got a very strong, nicely angled front, which is rounded. The impact armor is only 110, but with the angling it goes up, and you can see it's increasing as it gets closer to the turret ring. And the lower plate is only 110, but again, it's increasing as you get further down. So very difficult to penetrate one of these from the front, because the nice shape actually does bounce the shells off. The turret armor, again, incredibly strong. Look at this, just around the mantlet. It's 288 millimeters coming out at effective 292, and 228 on the rest, and coming out at 370. Yes, it's ridiculously strong. Even the cupolas are strong. If you look at that, the cupola, 230 millimeters, coming out at 254. Both sides. It's actually the roof of the thing which is actually weak, but even then, that's going to get a ricochet if the shell hits it from the wrong angle. The weak spot really is the sides, but even then, these sides are angled. You can see they're actually at an angle. So any shell coming in and hitting the side of this tank, even though it's only 100 millimeters, it's effective 150, but it's more likely the shell's going to hit the ground, not the tank, or rather it'll bounce off the tank into the ground. You can see the armor along the sides of the vehicle is 100 millimeters. So again, the turret, very strong, 180 millimeters. It's only weak at the rear where it becomes 135. The rear of the vehicle is the weak spot, 45 millimeters. If you're going to have a medium tank and make it go fast, you have to take the armor away from somewhere. And what they've done is they've taken it away from the rear of the vehicle. So most of the armor is on the front, but it's a very complex shape. You can see the engine deck is only 25 millimeters, so an Arty should be able to penetrate the engine deck. The rear of the turret's only 46 millimeters again, so you should be able to penetrate that if you can get directly behind one of these. But they are fairly fast movers anyway. Let's have a quick look at the live model. There again, you can see, hull down, this tank is very, very good indeed, but it's only got 5 degrees of gun depression. It's a monster, really, the way it just maneuvers and gets around enemy tanks, and that's how it avoids actually getting killed, because it's got great mobility, great agility. So the only thing that's bad about this tank really is the fact that the gun is only 100 millimeters, so it's only capable of doing 320, but it's got such a fast reload rate that's where it actually benefits, because it can keep pumping those shells in, By the book, it's only 6 seconds, but of course we can see that he actually got it down to 4, which means that one shell every 4 seconds. That's quick, very, very quick indeed. So yes, you can look at any angle, you can see plenty of red, which means it's difficult to penetrate this thing. And in fact, the only place that's easy to penetrate is the rear. And yes, you can see that. Let's have a quick look at the modules. Okay, here we go. And that's better. We can see the driver's sitting in the center up front. He's got that lovely angled upper plate and lower plate in next to him. There's 2 fuel tanks actually on the sides, on the shoulders of the vehicle there. You can also see that there's an ammo rack either side of the vehicle and in the center, right next door to the where the engine bay is. The engine bay again, fuel tanks either side of the engine and the transmission right at the rear. We've got the gunner on the right hand side, tank commander just behind him, kicking him. And the radio is just behind the tank commander. The loader's on the left-hand side of the vehicles. We're looking at it, shoveling the shells into the breech and taking them from the radio access directly behind him. So if you're going to shoot one of these, just shoot it behind the end of the back of the turret into the sides. If you can get a pen, that will hit the ammo rack. If not, then try and go for the rear of the vehicle and try and shoot it in the rear, because it's the easiest place to actually get one of these. Trouble is trying to get behind one of these. They move so quickly, it's very, very difficult to pin them down. But as you saw, the Cranvar was able to punch around right through the front of the vehicle. And in fact, actually, one of the other enemy tanks also punched around, I think it was the Object 430U, punched around through that actually killed the driver. So that front of the vehicle wasn't quite as strong as he thought it was. But then again, it was a heat round that he punched through. So it's not surprising that he did get it, did get pen with that 122mm gun. So there you go. There's where all the modules are on the 907. I hope you enjoyed that replay. It's certainly a very good, very quick one. Just a pity it wasn't 20% of the enemy hit pool at the end, so he didn't get the high caliber. But he did his best, and in fact, actually, with the help of that 780, he really did tear them a new one, because the 780 was acting as a perfect distraction, and then he was mugging them afterwards, the enemy tanks, and just clocking them up one after the other. Especially that Jaegeru, that poor little Jaegeru. I don't think he got much in the way of hit points. No, he didn't. Look at that. 0. No kills. 0 hit points. He was torn to shreds by 2 tanks who knew what they were doing. So yes, that was quite a good battle. If you enjoyed that replay, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And thank you for watching.